Well, hey, good evening, everyone. Thank y'all for tuning into my channel. You guys, I have an exciting, fun video today. I wanted to do something different. I've been putting out a lot of content about scripture and theology, and today I just wanted to make a video about metal detecting. It's been a while, and this past 3 weeks, you guys, I've pulled $1,000 of gold off the soccer field by the grace of God. I've had a good past 3 weeks. Now, my faith is in God, but there's a lot of skill when it comes to this hobby, you guys. Typically, I'll just pray, Lord, let me not miss a good target. And then I just get out there and get to work. And every time I find something good, I give thanks. Let me just share my thoughts and insights. Yeah, I've been doing this for 15 years, you guys. When I was, let me see, I started college when I was 20 years old, and I'm 36 now. Uh, I was 20 years old when I started college. I graduated around the age of 28. I started detecting at the age of 21, and I'm 30 to 36 now. So yeah, about 15 years. I've had a lot more machines than you see here. I always sell them. I buy them. I try them. I study it. I think half of my metal detecting interest are just in going through machines, testing machines. I like to know that I have the best gear. I probably put too much focus on that sometimes. And here's what might surprise you. I have an Equinox 700 over there that I bought brand new, 760 bucks after tax, and then I have a Coiltech 15-inch double D coil back here. It's this big one right here that you see. I paid 300 bucks just for that coil. So there's $1,000 and some, 1,050 or something right there. Uh, and so that's before I made this video, I thought about it. I calculated my cost. I had $1,950 of metal detecting uh, stuff that you see in focus right now with all these coils. And I have two more coils on the floor that I currently have for these two machines, DFX and MXT. I'm going to show y'all those as well, but so that one Equinox is half the cost of all this. And I wanted the latest and the greatest. And I won't, that's a great machine. If I'm on a beach, a sandy beach with that 15-inch coil tech, I can hit rings, quarters, it 14, 15 inches. I can hit them. The machine will, and I use a coil cover, but I run my coils on the surface of the ground, or maybe just, a centimeter. I pretty much rub the ground with my coils. I want maximum depth. That's how I've always been. So I use coil covers. You know, I'll say this too. Everything on this bed has been purchased on eBay with the exception of, no, I think I actually bought the Equinox on eBay as well because I contacted a distributor and yeah, I think I bought it through a distributor on eBay. So there you have it. I like eBay just because that's where you find older metal detector parts for White's Electronics metal detectors. They've been out of business for a few years. Now, the first detector I ever owned, let me start at the beginning, you guys. I was 21 and I bought the classic IDX, not this current classic IDX. That's this far one over here, this one, farthest one there. It's a great machine. You get like, what is that? You get 8 zones. So you could have iron all the way to like a silver dollar. And there's 8 zones in between that. You get the same audio tone, it's a monotone, but the recovery speed's pretty good. And believe it or not, that machine with the sensitivity cranked up will get you about 8 inches on a quarter. Now, I've never had an IDX Pro. I would like to have one, but I've heard in forums that they're almost unnoticeable in difference in depth. But I'm sure in air tests, the IDX Pro would win. But air tests, eh, air tests are good, but still ground conditions, when something's been in the ground, it can produce kind of a halo around it, or so I've heard. And, your ground targets might actually pick up better if they've been there for a long time. But just point blank, just keep in mind the IDX will get you about 8 inches on a quarter. Now, this MXT with the same 950 coil, this is a 950 coil. The IDX uses 6.59 kilohertz. It's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. The MXT uses a 15 kilohertz, which favors more the gold range, but it still hits quarters without issue. And the MXT will outperform that IDX just because it's a higher tier machine. And I would say I get about, with a 950 loop like that, I'm getting about 10 or 11 inches on a quarter. If I move up to the 300, right here, this 12-inch 300, well, I'm getting about 12 and a half to 13 inches on a quarter with the MXT. This D2 coil that's, I believe, 10 inches. Yeah, it's 10 inches. I'm getting about 10 inches on a quarter with that. Maybe 11 in the right circumstances, but typically the size of your coil, the width of your coil, right, is about the width of how deep you're going to dig. I get 15 inches on that coil tech, right, that I'm trying to, yeah, this one here, 15 inches. So it's a, just keep that in mind. And if you look at that Bigfoot coil, that DD Arrow coil, it's made in, I believe, Bulgaria. That's an awesome coil. I've never bought a Bigfoot. I've owned XLTs and DFXs. This is like my fourth DFX, you guys. I keep selling it and buying it back. I can't stay away from a DFX. I find my gold on this machine. I try the newer machines and they're fun, but I don't know. I'm not into it as much. It's not, experience has a lot to do with it. It's where you look, what kind of signals you're looking for, sweep speed, your programming. I really understand the DFX. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the IDX was my first machine. Later, I would sell that machine and then I would get a White's XLT Spectrum. I never had a Rainbow Spectrum. I had the XLT E series, I believe. Uh, it was a great machine. I probably pulled $2,500 of gold with that machine my first 3 months of owning it. And I was metal detecting probably 4 hours a day, 3 or 4 days a week. So it was a lot of detecting back in those days. And I wouldn't do that today because I carry my cross. You guys, my Christian faith is very important to me. But I do let myself go out on Saturdays. And some days, if I'm on vacation or I have free time and I've done everything right, I'll let myself go out a second day. But I prioritize the word and the will of Jesus Christ just because we ought to carry our cross and obey the gospel. It's that simple. Uh, I want to be in the right with God. I owe everything to Him. And that's the truth. And He'll bless those that love Him, you guys. That's another thing I'll say when I'm out there searching. Uh, I pray. I'm like, Lord, let me not miss a good signal if it's there. And God answers those prayers, you guys. I've even had days where I was like, Lord, I really want to find this. And then in the next few weeks, I have found that. And I'm not just saying that, it has been crazy. So God is good, you guys. He's a mystery, but He's amazing. But I can just say I do prioritize the work and will of God. So this is a hobby. Uh, I have sold most of this stuff before, and then after time, I'd buy it back. It's not a distraction. I've wrestled with it because I prioritize the work of God. But here at this moment in my life, I'm good. I found a balance, and it doesn't bother me. But so I had an IDX to XLT. I sold my XLT. Then I got the DFX because I would always read in the forums. See, the XLT was like the IDX. It used a 6.59 kilohertz frequency, which is a jack of all trades, master of none. It's a good detector though. And so is the XLT. I found a gold chain at 3 inches deep with the XLT that came up as a number 4, a foil tone. See, on an XLT and a DFX, you have negative 95 to positive 95 on the spectrum. You have a different audio tone for each signal. This is like prior to the V3i. I've never had a V3i. One day I'll pick one up if I get bored, but I don't know. I'm finding so much gold with this DFX. I just found, like I said, about $1,000 of gold in the past 3 weeks, and it's just and that's part of my motivation to make this video. I think many of you out there have probably purchased a metal detector, and you took it out and you found some trash and you gave up on yourself. I'm going over machines right now, but let me get to some theory crafting and some of my pro tips here later on. Uh, So that XLT, great machine. I remember one of the things I really liked about the XLT is it had a good, if you did a fast sweep, you could hit a deep target. Like if it was a small silver dime at 8 inches, a fast sweep with an XLT would cause the screen to light up and you to get a signal, while a slow sweep might not. Not so on a DFX. It's a whole different type of micro programming. The DFX, it works with preamp gain and AC sensitivity, but also you get best data. You get a 3 kilohertz and a 15 kilohertz. The MXT is just a 15 kilohertz. You get optimized for silver, optimized for gold, and if you do best data, the microprocessor will take the best data of the two. I always try to keep my AC sensitivity as high as I can and my preamp gain as high as I can, and I will state the Eclipse 950, this is the standard loop for the MXT and the DFX. Some of the MXT Pros actually came with a D2, which is a 10-inch coil, half an inch bigger, and that's a double D, so better for mineralized ground. Or one thing I found with the D2 coil is you could hit coins that were vertical or like at a steep inclination. It was good at picking up coins in funny positions. So that is something, and it still gets good depth. I would argue this is just as good as depth as the standard 950, this 10-inch D2. Just a rule of thumb, if it's 9.5 inches across, you're going to be getting 9.5 inches on average of depth with that coin. If you had a half dollar or a silver dollar, you'd probably get 10 or 11, maybe even 12 in the right soil. If you have a big 12-inch loop like that, you might hit a coin at 13 or 14 inches in the right conditions. A big 15-inch coil like that, you could hit like a silver dollar coin at 16 or 17 inches in the right soil conditions. That's just kind of rule of thumb. That Bigfoot arrow coil down there, that's a little different. That's the coil, you guys, that I found all these gold rings I'm about to show y'all. Uh, I found these rings this past 3 weeks, you guys, wedding bands and a diamond engagement. Just I got like, oh, let me see, I think it's like 17 grams of 14 karat gold. It melt value is like 560 or something, or it's more than that. That was only two of them. Yeah, it's like 750 or $800 melt value. And some of these rings, you guys, are just beautiful. Some of these rings are like, I mean, these are heavy. These are nice. This is a white gold with a rose gold. It's marked 10 karat. That's about 4.8 grams. This one right here was a 14 karat. It's I believe this is 4.6 grams. So just those two rings were like at 9 point something grams. And then I found this big heavy one that's 7 grams and it's 14 karat. And a ring like this, you guys, cost you 500, $600 today. And with the other two, I got $1,000 of gold here if I wanted to take. These are clean too. I mean, this ring looks brand new. It's beautiful. I don't think my camera is gonna do it justice, but this is a beautiful ring. Uh, yeah, it has white gold on the inside with rose gold on the out, but it's solid 10 karat. And these are all heavy. You can just feel the weight of them. And then I found this little silver diamond engagement that says Israel. It's sterling silver, so I doubt the stone is real. Uh, I found this nice Catholic silver cross, real pretty silver cross. Then I found this little yin yang ring, which I've been debating if I should keep it or throw it in the trash, but a ring is a ring is a ring. But the symbology there is not something I support. I'll probably melt it down or something. I don't care at all for that symbol. I'm a I'm actually against it. So, but anyways, so this is a lucrative hobby. I don't do it for money, but sometimes I think that motivates me. It gets me out there. Yeah, you might say sometimes I do it for money because it gets me out. I get exercise, and if I find $1,000 in 3 weeks of detecting, now keep in mind when I found this, I have some other objects here. When I went out yesterday, I found two rings in the same day, and that's these two wedding bands. And then I also found this that diamond Jerusalem ring. So these three rings I found in one day yesterday, and that's kind of why I'm making this video, because with the price of gold, we were just at 2,775 or something. Now I think we've dropped down to 2650 or 2660. But with the price of gold being that high, this hobby is worthwhile. Uh, and those wedding bands, they're not to be sold for melt. Those are actually nice. I mean, they're nice. They're nice bands. Now, I find dog tags all the time. Here's somebody's dog, has somebody's phone number, has their address, and has the dog's name, which is Bismarck. Bismarck the dog. So that's here's another one. Somebody's dog sniffing around. Here's people's keys that they've lost. Here's a newer type car key. You're going to get different signals. Here's another little dog pendant. I listen for solid targets. You don't really want it breaking up. They tell you to listen to the head and the tail of the object. You want to use your mind. Look behind. For instance, if you're in a high trash area, well, get you a little shooter like this little White's DD. This works great on the DFX or the MXT. Get out there and you can sort through high trash areas and you can pick up objects that are in close proximity. Now you're only getting about this much depth on a coil like this, but typically you're only digging objects about that deep. I found Indian head pennies that were 4 inches down. I've even found one that was 2 inches at one point. So a little shooter DD coil like this, real stable, real easy to use, not too much outside interference from power lines and stuff like this, like with one of those larger coils. If you could be under a power line with something like this and still getting really good performance. So this coil, this will pay for itself in one find. Keep in mind, you just got to have the patience to dig the trash, right? You might dig 30 or 40 pull tabs and 20 bottle caps and pull up a bunch of canned slaw and foil balls, and then out pops a ring that's worth 300 or 400 bucks. That's just how it is. That's part of it. But you guys remember this: gold holds its value. Gold is just going up. Our dollars are debt notes. Our country is going to continue to print more and more and more. Because of Nixon, we're not on a gold standard. Petrodollar, I mean, what are we doing there? Oil, are we really pinning the dollar to oil? I mean, the dollar is kind of a dying currency uh, because it's just going to get printed into oblivion in a sense. I believe in sound money, gold and silver. So when I bought this necklace, I wish I found this, you guys, but this necklace is 72 grams of 14 karat. When I bought this necklace, I paid 2,300 for it. Nowadays, I think the melt value is like 2,800 or more. It just goes to show you. And there's like a $800 premium on a necklace like this. If you find or buy gold, and if you're willing to hold on to it for a decade, you're gonna make money. That's just how the system is. I wish our currency was stronger, but it's just not. Now, we're still in the best country of the world, praise God. Now, I want to say that arrow coil back there, that DD coil, the white one, that's an 18-inch coil, and it's a wide sweep coil. That's the coil that I found all these rings on. It's with that coil, finding these gold and silver rings, because I can cover an entire football field in about 4 hours with that coil. Now, pull tabs, 32, 37, sometimes they'll hit into the 40s. They're kind of crackly. It's not a very strong signal. When you go over a wedding band, it's like 34, 34, 34, 34, 34. You could still have a wedding band that's the same signal as a pull tab, 34, 32, 33, 34. But when it's solid and you get the same reading every pass, take notice of that. Sometimes it's best just to dig it all. There's been targets that sounded bad and were actually a ring on its side next to a rusty nail or something. I advise just getting out there, learning the signals, and not giving up on yourself. You want to start covering areas of the field where possibly somebody was throwing a frisbee, playing tackle football with their friends, and something flew off their hands, and then it rained and it sunk. Try to sort out the trash. Another thing I want to say, uh, there's this old guy. He has a channel on YouTube. Oh, he's an entertaining guy. He's fun to watch, but his channel's name's Adventures with Jim. Now, this guy, I used to watch this guy when I was in college, and real nice guy. He talked about digging the foil tones. And I took that advice and found a $700 gold necklace a couple months later. Often, your chains and your stuff like that, your small women's rings will be on a DFX somewhere between +2 and +8, or maybe up to 14 on a small ring, 17 or 18, more of a small medium ring. Anything in the 20s or 40s, like you get a solid 42, you better dig that. That could be a wedding band. Keep in mind, this wedding band, okay, this one right here came in at a 27. This big one right here came in at a 55. It's thick, 7 grams. This one right here came in at a 18. So you never know, what a 55, 27, and 17, dig it all, you guys. You don't know what it's going to be. Your bottle caps, 55, your keys, 59, 60 keys. A funky key like this, I think it came in at a 64. Just, you don't know what it's going to be, but you're looking for abnormal signals. Your pull tabs generally, you get a beaver tail, which is a piece of a pull tab. That's typically like a 17 or an 18, but then an 18 to a 20 is a nickel. A modern pull tab could be a 20 to a 22, but then sometimes you find a nickel just in the earth a certain way that hits a 21. There's no way to know for sure, so you just got to use good sense. Another thing, it's good to get one of those Lecce ground shark shovels, because then you can dig more targets. When you get good at ratchet pinpointing with an MXT or a DFX, you can put your target right in the center of your coil. You'll get used to the pinpoint, and you can literally, you can take a screwdriver and put it into the ground and hit your target. I just kind of dance over it until I see exactly where the center is. I memorize that spot on the earth, and then just one shovel. There you go. So I'm telling you, if you have a machine in your closet, go out to an old sports field, dig every target, stay out there for at least 2 hours. You might get lucky, you guys. That's how it happens. When I found these 3 rings that I showed you yesterday, I was out yesterday. That's what prompted me to make this video. I had found all the gold within the first 2 hours. 2 hours later, I stayed out there a total of 4 hours. In the last hour, I found that Israel diamond ring, which I don't think it's a real diamond, but hey, a ring's a ring's a ring, right? So it was a good day. Now let me show you guys a couple other coils that I haven't really used. I got this coil. This here's a deep scan. This is a double D coil. This is one that I picked up on eBay. Uh, this coil here probably is going to get you probably about that much depth. Typically you'll get a little bit more. So you might get 8 or 10 inches of depth with this, but this is for high mineralized ground. I haven't really used it, so I can't speak on it too much. And then I also have this coil. This is a real popular coil. And I actually like this coil quite a bit, but I prefer the depth of this one. I think this gets a little bit deeper, so I never use this, and I've put this for sale on eBay. So I'm in Texas. The ground is not that mineralized here. I just don't need some of these double D coils. And often when I buy machines, they'll come with extra coils, and I'll look for one that's like the whole package deal, because that way I can keep what I want and resell stuff on eBay. So I'm giving you guys my trade secrets here as far as finding gold. Now I will say that Equinox 700, I've spent as much money on that one machine and that Coiltech 15-inch coil as all these White's machines and coils. It is a better machine. It has a faster recovery speed. It has greater depth. Uh, has an internal battery, which is nice. Now let me show y'all something. When it comes to the DFX, which I don't know if you remember DFX Spectrum, see my voltage was 12.4. I always stay over 12 volts. Let me show you guys a little secret here. If you're still using a DFX like me, I track down a brand new one. I scour eBay until I find them. I just, I get 3600. This is lithium ion phosphate double A's. And these are 3600 milliamp hours or something like that. And this will give me a constant 12.4 voltage for like 70 hours or something like that. It's great. So, and these can be recharged like 1500 times. So just because you're running a double A pack doesn't mean you have to use double A's. I use lithium. So that's just something to keep in mind. You can pretty much update these machines with lithium batteries with just a better power source. Now, pinpointers, right? You guys, my pinpointing with White's machines is generally so good. I use one of those Lecce ground shark shovels, and I'll pull up my plug and I'll kick it, and then as it crumbles up, I'll see my object. So I'd say only 1 out of 10 holes I pull out a pinpointer. But this here is called the GP pinpointer, the GP pinpointer. I don't know if you can see that real well, but these are $8 or $6 on AliExpress, which will ship to your door. You buy 2 of them or 3 of them, you get free shipping. These pinpointers, and believe it or not, they actually sell on Amazon. I really enjoy today. Just the battery types. These are lithium 9 volts. And get this, they have a Type C plug-in to recharge this 1300 mAh lithium 9 volt battery. It has lots of voltage to it. Trust me, it's working. Uh, you can take this and this will stay in here 4 to 6 months if I don't remember to recharge it. But it's strong, and the current. What I really like about lithium is the current does not drop. Like you have strong current from the day you start using it pretty much until it dies. Trying to see if I put this thing in backwards or not. Yeah, that was correct. So this GP pinpointer, these are cheap, you guys. You don't have to buy a Garrett Carrot or you know, I know they make lots of pinpointers, but look at how good this works. This was $8 off AliExpress, or they have them on Amazon for like 12. You see the ring, it has a little light. It comes on, it beeps. This is just the depth you're getting here. That's about 2 inches. It works fine for me. I mean, I'd rather buy 3 or 4 of these than spend, I'd get 3 or 4 of these for $30 as opposed to spending $150 on some kind of, I don't know, fancy one. I'd rather just pull out a new one of these when they break. These work good enough for me, and I have a couple that'll actually get 4 inches on a penny. I've had a White's TXR. I've had a Bullseye 2. I've had some expensive pinpointers, but I really like the GP pinpointer. I can't tell you guys how good these are. They're great. And my idea of just a little trash carry, I'll just put something like this on my belt. That way I can throw my bigger trash in here and my smaller trash in here. And when this fills up with pull tabs, after a couple hours, I just throw it in a trash can at the park. So that's my whole device. It's just me out there with my shovel, my detector, and this pouch. And if I'm at night, I have that little headlight. I will hunt at night sometimes. But that's it, you guys. I mean, it's a fun hobby. Don't lose heart. Just stay persistent. You're gonna find something good. You might dig 150 foil balls until you pull out that ring if you're not having very good luck. But you're going to find it. Look around tennis courts, volleyball fields. Look under the bleachers with one of these little shooter coils like this. If you're in an area like a creek bed or something like that, get a DD coil because you can hit stuff on edge a little bit better. If you're on the beach, get you a big coil to cover more ground, but you also need a big coil that goes deep, like these two that are right here. If you're on a football field and you're trying to, pull off all the quarters and look for gold rings, that coil right there, that big tall coil, that's the best coil I have, you guys. If I could keep one coil to find gold, that would be it, that white coil back there. I've never had a Bigfoot, like I've said, but that Arrow coil by the Bulgarian company, that's a great coil. So, MXT Pro, awesome machine. That's the one I recommend. If y'all want to get a White's machine, get an MXT Pro. You get the audio tones, the ground grab, and a backlight, and you still get negative 95 to positive 95 on the VDI. You get great depth, you get a threshold, you get a discriminator, you get relic, prospecting, coin, beach, ground, salt, beach. You know, it has lots of good adjustments. It's a really good machine, and these are popping up on eBay today for around the $350 range. So, I think if I was going to buy one of these, I'd get an All Pro, because with the All Pro, you're going to get this 10-inch coil as well. If you get an MXT Pro, they might give you the 300 back here, which is good if you're trying to find silver. But you guys, I'll be honest, the MineLab 700 is going to outperform the 12. You're going to get the 11-inch standard coil on this MineLab here. I don't have the pole tightened, so it's not shaking it. But that MineLab EQX 11 back there, that's going to outperform the White's machines just because it's newer technology in most cases. I can't say definitively in every case, but the Equinox is a very good machine. I just, when it comes to finding small gold, like the back of an earring, I put my auto track offset on a +2. I crank my AC sensitivity up to 78, and I have it in best data or 15 kilohertz only, and I'm looking under the swing sets and then the tot lots. I'm telling you, I find gold with that DFX. That machine has paid for itself like like 4 times over in the past couple of months, you guys. And I recently bought this for 280 bucks. I've already paid for it 4 times. And I've only been out maybe 8 times metal detecting for 3 or 4 hours. So keep that in mind. I like the MXT. Another good machine. If I could only keep two, it'd be the DFX and the Equinox. But the MXT, I might miss it, and I'd probably buy another right away because it's a grab and go machine. This has a lot of programming. This is for the person that wants to tinker. Uh, the classic IDX, it'll hit an 8-inch quarter. You get visuals. You can still listen for a good signal, something that's real solid. It's not crackling. Headphones, I like those Garrett MS2s. They're $30. They're comfortable. I used to use the White's headphones up there, but those White's headphones are kind of, oh, it's kind of like this little gaming headset that I have on. The White's headphones, after 3 or 4 hours, your ears are hurting. It's pinching your head. I'm not a fan. The Garrett though, the MS2s, those are good, and they plug right into White's machines. And you get a audio knob that just get one knob, but it works for both earpieces. And these are real good. I don't see these breaking as long as you're careful with them. They're good headphones. So real sturdy, solid cable, solid jack. Now I'm 6'6". It took me a long time to find a tall man's pole for these White's machines. I have extensions, but to actually find a tall man's pole, that took some time. So if you're above 6 foot, I recommend one of those because that'll give you a wider coverage, right? And when you're using a big 18-inch Bigfoot style coil, man, you can cover some ground, you guys. I remember one day I just set it up for quarters only with the discrimination. With the MXT, I was using that Bigfoot coil because every coil the DFX used, the MXT uses. That's why it's very versatile. And I was on a football field. I probably pulled $7 or $8 of quarters in a matter of a couple hours with that Bigfoot coil. And I was like, wow. Only the MXT and the DFX could do that. I had an M6. M6 was a great machine. It used the same coils as these two machines use, but the M6 broke in my closet for no reason. I can't, it just, the screen went out, so I sold it. But a M6 is every bit the machine of a MXT, but simplified. So has a good engine in it, in other words. But I still think for small gold that DFX is the best, and it's definitely better. I prefer the DFX for small gold more so than the Equinox, and that's one thing I want to say. If I'm looking for gold rings, uh, gold jewelry, I prefer the DFX. If I'm looking for deep silver or beach detecting, I'm going to use the Equinox. If I have a friend that goes out there with me, I'll probably give them the IDX or the MXT. That's my current setup right now. So, you guys, I have one scripture I want to share before I conclude this video, and that's going to come from the King James Bible. And this is about treasure. It's about treasure in a field. So just stick around for the reading of the word real quick. We are actually going to be in the book of Matthew, and this is a Schofield Bible. And look at the amount of textual notes. 60% of the page is textual notes on the kingdom of God. So I really am looking forward to getting into the dispensational theology of Schofield here. So in my next video, I'll be most likely talking about Schofield's explanation of the mystery. But in Matthew chapter 13, verse 44, the word of the Lord says, "And the kingdom of heaven is likened unto treasure hid in a field, the which when a man hath found, he hiddeth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field." Just imagine, you have a man that he found a treasure in a field. He didn't say anything to anyone. He hid that treasure. He sold everything he had to obtain that field because he knew if he could obtain that field, then he would uncover something far more valuable than anything he had. Such is it like when a person comes to the knowledge of Christ. Whatever we thought we had in this world that was temporal, it's really meaningless with the weight, the love, the eternal glory, the things of truth, right? You know, when Pilate asked Jesus, "What is truth?" Jesus was the truth, the way, and the life, right? The kingdom of heaven, whether it's treasure hidden in a field, whether it's the pearl of great price, you get nothing else matters other than God and His word, because whatever He said is forever. You know, that's the true treasure, you guys. Paul, he'll continue to talk about the riches and the treasure of the knowledge of God in Christ. And that's the true treasure. But you know, the true treasure is this. Sometimes you got to pay the bills. Sometimes you just want to go and find some gold to stow away for an interesting economy, right? So, you guys, that's all I got to say. Uh, get out there. If you have a detector in your closet, give it another go. Hey, dig everything. You know, I bet I dig 50 to 70 pieces of trash before I hit a gold ring, even on the days that I'm cherry picking. So if I'm digging at all, I might pull up 250 or 500 pieces of trash. I don't know about that. Maybe 250 at the most. I do find rings, you guys. I know what to look for. You want to hear a solid target. You want a VDI number that stays stable, you know. And I'll tell you that Bigfoot coil, just one last word, I call it a Bigfoot. Bigfoot coils cost too much. They're overrated and they balance funny. But that Bulgarian DD coil, it balances just like all the other coils here. And it pretty much does the same thing, but does it better. You're only going to get 5.5 inches of depth with that. Typically just 4.5. But most of these rings are going to be in the first 2 to 3 inches of soil. And, you know, not many people detect anymore today, you guys. Right now, the fields are loaded. You just have to be patient and dig the trash and look for solid tones. So you guys take that advice. Please like, comment, subscribe. I hope this video blessed someone. You guys, if I could only own two metal detectors, it'd be the DFX and the Equinox 700. You could buy a 900. Are you going to get extra depth? Maybe a couple inches. You're actually going to get more depth going with a 700 and buying the big coil, the big 15 inch. You can get the generic, the native Minelab 15 inch. You don't have to buy Coil Tech. Uh, but you'll probably get better depth with a Knox 700 and a 15 inch if you're looking for deep silver or something on the beach. You know, the Manticore, I have a buddy that's got one. It's outside of my price range. I could buy it. I mean, yeah, I could buy it, but that one machine is like, almost everything that I have here. So I'd rather have a variety. I just, that's how I see things. The Manicore is cool, but that Equinox 700 with that 11 inch or that 15-inch coil is probably going to hit on 95% of the targets that a Manicore would. So that's just my take on it. And sometimes all those extra bells and whistles just make it more complex. And that's why I wouldn't really recommend a DFX unless you really take time to learn the machine. I'd recommend the MXT. So that's my advice, you guys. Take it for what it is. The money in this hobby is finding gold. Silver coins, if you find a cache or a large spill, but the money's in finding gold. So you guys take it easy. Like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, y'all have a blessed evening. Thank you for watching.